Drew, how you doing?
Hey Dave, good on you, man.
Good, man, good. It's been a long Monday already.
I know, and it's pretty cool. I'm not at home this check. I'm actually at the offices down in Joburg. I'll show you outside.
You see, at this point, I'm pretty sure it's the Mac that's giving you Wi-Fi issues because it doesn't matter where you go, your internet's terrible.
So maybe it's the Mac and not the internet. Maybe that's the problem.
I'm blaming the Mac.
Got to be something. Yeah, it's a tough. I mean, Dave, I think most people are tough. Are one of our partners in the property game that support property entrepreneurs and in financing their projects, Joburg CBD, all the other CBDs. And we've had some great success with them. So I'm here just to meet up with them, have a coffee, strategize for 2022. So yeah, but if you just joined us, ladies and gents, this is Andrew and Dave's coffee session at 1 o'clock every Monday. Dave and I do go live, but we talk about property portfolios, what's going on within Saffron Academy, what events are coming up. Last week we had the CEO of the State Agent Affairs Board talking about the new act that's coming, and that's now in force. So we have some really cool conversations. So if you know of anyone, friends, colleagues that are interested in property, please tag them now, like us, let them know about this coffee chats every Monday. It's really cool. Some fun times. We interview some really and important, and we get some really good content through these coffee sessions. So, yeah, Dave, how was your week last week?
I feel like I've had a whole week already today. Last week was good, nice and easy. It was one of our quiet events week, so we didn't have too much going on, but it was good. We're pretty much getting ready to start planning April. I know we're not even in March yet, but we're almost ready to get April moving and going forward. So, but that means that everyone who's out in Durban and Bloem and the guys asking us where is our next events, you'll start to find out about that in the next couple of days, which will be good.
Awesome.
It's good. What I'll do quickly is I'll quickly go through my events. Guys, if you're here for the first time, do let us know. Make sure you're dropping a hi in the chat box. But I'm going to quickly run through our events for the next couple of days, highlight what's important and what's happening. And then what we're going to do is we've got a special guest who's going to come on in a couple of minutes. And we're going to talk a little bit differently around property investment. Let me just add it back. So this week's fairly easy. Joburg, you're in for a treat. We got our Joburg Premier exclusive networking event out in Johannesburg. So that's for our intermediate and professional members. You guys can be out there. It's in the East Rand. If you have any questions, you can just email support@sapropertynetwork.com. There will be a link in the chat box for you to go and do your booking. Just as a reminder, because we haven't done this in a while, you need to log in to purchase your tickets. So please make sure you go through there.
And can I chat about that for a sec?
Yeah, I was just about to pull you on.
So for these events, ladies and gents, networking live face-to-face obviously is more effective than doing it online and virtual. And we've had so many great experiences and stories. There are people coming into this environment. It's a lot more laid back. It's more about the network introducing. I constantly introduce investors to other investors or investors to partners. We invite the Absa Bank's business partners, TAF, all the partner sponsors will be in the room to just network with you. So if you have any issues or problems, or you're looking for the next deal, or you're looking to raise finance, we always find a way of connecting you and networking with you on the evening, and we make it a bit of fun. And the event does start at 6:30 in Joburg. So for those of you that are intermediates and professional, please book your ticket. Because it's a live event, naturally, there's still COVID regulations, so we've got to be careful about how many people are actually there. But it will be a roundtable event, and it's super powerful. So if you're a property in the Gauteng area, make sure that you are an intermediate or professional member, and we'll see you there.
Perfect. Sounds good. Moving forward a little further, Thursday lunchtime, again, 1 o'clock, Andrew and I'll be live again on Facebook. We're going to be live with our Airbnb coach, Robin Booth. And I think a lot of people ask the question, what's happening in Airbnb? What's happened to the market over the past couple of months? Robin's got some really nice stats to talk about. So that's going to be happening on Facebook at 1 o'clock on Thursday. For our professional members, there is a mastermind on Thursday evening. That's at 6 o'clock. So there we talk about goal setting, hold each other accountable, and really get everyone moving forward. So professional members, you'll find that link in your emails. And then the last event I want to highlight, I see a few people talking about PPRA already. Our next major event talking about the Property Practitioners Bill and what's happened over there is happening next Wednesday evening. We've got a webinar with Bruno Smart Attorneys and Peter Menon from the TPN credit bureau. So we're going to be talking about how does the people are affect specifically landlords. TPN will be talking about how it's affecting rental landlords, and Bruno Smart Attorneys will be talking about how does it affect sort of buy and flip property investors. So it's going to be a really good conversation to have.
Awesome.
And there we go. So as always, guys, I think the last thing, if you ever want to see what's on our calendar, you can go to sapropertynetwork.com/events, and you'll see our full calendar up over there. But I think that covers the housekeeping, Drew.
Yeah, and tell me, Dave, who's with us today? Do you see any new faces? Who's joining us today?
A couple of unfamiliar faces. Mario looks fairly new, but we've got some of the regulars here. Tian's here, Maxon's here, Dan is here, Justin Krobla's here. So some of the regulars are back. Guys, do make sure you're saying hello in the chat box, and we can see who's around.
Definitely. How's it, everyone? And today's a bit different, hey, Dave?
Today's a bit different. We're talking Forex and investment and trading. So it's going to be really good. We've got a guest to bring on, so I'm going to bring Lewis Crompton on in a second. Hi, Lewis. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Good to be here.
Good to have you on. So maybe a little bit of context. Lewis and I have worked together for a couple of years now. I met Lewis years ago at some trading events and always been following what he's been doing. And there's always been a good balance between Forex and property investing. So that's why we brought him on. We've got some events coming up. Lewis is hosting an event on the 5th of March. We'll talk about the details a little bit later. Otherwise, Lewis, maybe you want to give us the sort of speaker intro. Tell us about yourself. Where are you?
Sure. So hello, everyone.
Home.
Yes, I'm at home in my shed office, although I get told off for calling it a shed. So it is an office. As you can probably see, I'm obsessed with Post-it notes. So I've got Post-it notes all over the place. It's just how I like to operate. I like to see things visually, which probably helps from a trading perspective because trading is a visual art form as much as anything else. I started trading financial markets, so primarily Forex when I first started, but also indexes and commodities. Just over 8 years ago, I was trained by an organization called Rich Dad. You may have heard of Robert Kiyosaki. So I was taught by them, and then I ended up teaching for them. So they saw the success I had, asked me to come back and teach for them. So I've been teaching what I do now for over 6 years, which is crazy. And a few years ago, I decided to actually, while I was in South Africa teaching, I decided I wanted to help more people than I could within that particular framework. So I went out on my own, created my own training, and helping people, again, internationally around the world. Got quite a good student base in South Africa. South Africa's probably my favorite place on the planet, Cape Town specifically, because it's got a bit of everything. I mean, Joburg isn't bad, but yeah.
Pretty bad.
My preferred place is definitely Cape Town. So yeah, that's kind of part of my story, part of my history. I've been a profitable trader for pretty much all of that 8 years, following the correct systems, following the correct processes, and I've been investing in property now for nearly 6 years as well. So I took the profits that I made through trading and I transferred that profit into another form of investment, which is property. So I continue to do that now and use it to help fund and facilitate my property investment as well.
Oh, excellent. And I think, Dave, let's find out, with regards to our members and our listeners right now, who is investing or who is trading the financial markets? Are you in Forex, crypto? Obviously, Lewis, most of our clients are property investors, but a lot of them do want to diversify. They do want to look at other alternative ways. So for them, it might be making profits in property and taking it into Forex, or it could be the other way around, like yourself. So if you're out there and you are already trading the financial markets, or you want to do it, let us know. Yes, we all know that you're interested in property, but it may be that you want to learn how to diversify or create or go through the wealth creation in a different way. I mean, Lewis, is it true when they say that you can actually just trade for less than 30 minutes a day?
Yeah, it is true. It's completely true. It's the style of trading which allows you to do that. So there's a couple of different styles of trading. You've got scalping, you've got day trading, you've got swing trading, you've got position trading. Now, position trading is kind of your long-term buy and hold. Whereas when we're looking at swing trading, it's short to medium term. And that's really where I focus, and the majority of my students focus as well, because that's the style of trading which will allow you to trade for only 30 minutes a day. Now, in your learning phase, yes, you may want to spend more time than that. But even in the way I teach people, it's broken down quite methodically, very systematically, to mean you only need to spend 30 minutes a day. If you put more time in that, then yes, your learning time will be cut shorter and you'll progress faster. But there's also a limit to that as well, because some of my students like just plow through everything, absorb all the information, but they realize actually they've not absorbed anything. And then they have to kind of go back to start and relearn and actually absorb the information. So 30 minutes is definitely possible. I trade for less than that. If you wanted to be a day trader, then you would be spending more than 30 minutes a day. And you don't necessarily, by increasing your time in front of the charts, doesn't equate to necessarily more profit or making more money. That's not really how it works necessarily. So you can still, with just 30 minutes a day, which is before work, after work, you kind of get to choose which time works for you. Then, and I do give some guidelines around that as well. But you can kind of choose which time works best for you. You get to just do your process, follow your systematic process, and then if you do that before work, go and do your working day, go work your business, whatever it is you're doing. If that's property investment, then do your 30 minutes in the morning with your trading, and then focus on all the property stuff you need to get done the rest of the day. That's the way I kind of like to focus it for myself. Get it out the way in the morning with my coffee, and then crack on with everything else I want to get on with. So yeah, 30 minutes is definitely possible.
So I think, Lewis, a common question that property investors, well, anyone starting in Forex is going to have. It's one of the questions I posed to you when I think I started with you back in 2020. It's what do we really need to get involved and be successful here? I think a lot of people don't want to commit and invest in themselves unless they feel like they're ready to achieve that success. So what do you feel like people coming into the program need to get started and actually achieve what they want to achieve?
Brilliant question. I'm seeing some of the comments coming through as well. So some person says they gave their money to a Forex trade and they lost their money and it almost cost you a friendship. I'm not surprised it almost cost you a friendship. I'd be mad as well. First thing on that point, and kind of to answer your question as well, Dave, is do not give somebody else your money. What I do is I teach you to trade your money for you. Everything we do, and I'm sure it is with Sapin as well, it's about making you financially independent, you financially strong, and not reliant on other people. So first of all, what you're learning from what I do is a skill set which is yours. Yes, okay, we already have the skill set, but we're teaching you to do it. So really what we want to do is make you not need us. That's kind of the overall process, is to make you an independent trader making financial decisions. That is financial freedom. That is financial independence. So first of all, don't give someone else your money to trade for you. That's kind of getting into a bit of a get rich quick scheme, which is not what this is about. So I say first thing you have to have right is your mindset, that you're coming into this because you want to learn a skill set which can make you money in a safe way, in a profitable way, but you're not going to be a millionaire overnight. That's not how it happens. Nothing works that way. So that's kind of the first point of call. The second point of call is go with somebody that you trust or comes through a recommendation with people that you trust. That's highly, highly important. That's why I'm quite lucky. When I started, I was with Rich Dad because I trusted the brand and I made the most of it. So that kind of leads me on to the third thing is you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. So get around someone. If that means you have to pay money to get around the right people, then do it. But make the most of that information. Make the most of that education. Ask the questions of the people that you need to ask questions to and start to apply it as well. It's really, really important that you do that. Everything else we kind of cover. We walk you through holding your hand through the whole process to make sure that you're doing things correctly, you're doing things safely. There's definitely risky ways to do this. I'm very risk averse as a person. That's why my property strategies that I use are also low risk. I'm the same with my trading. I'm about low risk, high reward. So it's really, really important to me that we focus on that. So those are kind of some of the major things. Make sure you're following a system. You're doing it for yourself in terms of this is a skill set you're learning. You're learning from the right people and you're taking action on the education that you're getting. And make sure your mindset is right, that this may take you a few months to get right, but if you've got that system in place and that process in place, it's going to make it a heck of a lot easier.
100%.
Absolutely. And what comments are we getting, Dave? In the comments box there, are there any traders out there? Anyone? Let's just have a look and see. I see.
So there are a few, but I do want to throw Lewis in the deep end because there's always. I am missing the comment now. Oh, here it is from Edgar. Greetings, interesting topics. Forex is like a casino. The house always wins.
Oh, don't. I'm like a bull to a red rag on that one. Yeah.
Go for it, Lewis.
So the house definitely always wins if you don't know what you're doing. And if you're relying on luck, then you are gambling. So you can approach trading like you're a gambler, or you can approach trading like an investor. So when I buy a property, there's an element of risk. When I set up a business, there's an element of risk. When I walk out my house and cross the road, there's an element of risk. with an element of risk in place, it doesn't mean you're a gambler. If I cross the street, I'm not gambling with my life. I'm making a calculated decision based upon the safest point at which to cross that road. The same is true with trading. We have systems, we have strategies, which we have applied and tested for 5 years, 10 years in the market to make sure that they actually work. So we have to make sure that we're not operating as a gambler in the market. And really what that's going to come down to is you, not the systems that I teach and the way that I teach people. So if you want to pretend you've got a little bit of knowledge, and often a little bit of knowledge is the most dangerous thing, because you think you know what you're doing and actually you don't. And I'm sure some of you have probably tried trading and you were gamblers. You weren't traders. You weren't operating like a business person within the realm of trading. So you have to make sure you're following a system and a process. Otherwise you are a gambler. I completely agree. Does the house win? Yes. Do I want the house to win? Yes, I want the house to win. If my broker's not making money, then I don't have a way to access the markets. So it's important that you kind of have that understanding from a business perspective as well, that they will take a bit of commission. I'm fine with that. But over time, you're still profiting. It's part of the process of the symbiosis of getting access to the market and everything like that.
100%, man. No, it's the same thing we always talk about at the academy, and it's happened. It's education. You can go into the market, and with property or with Forex, you can go in and make a decision based off of what you think is the best move. But if you're not backing it up with hard data, then you're definitely going to have a hard time over there.
Exactly.
So if you guys do have any questions for Lewis, while we still got him for a couple more minutes, feel free to put them in the chat box. We'll pass them through. We got a couple more questions we want to discuss with him, and we'll obviously talk about the event. So if you guys are wondering how to get in touch with Lewis, there is an event happening in March. We'll share that link in a few seconds.
And tell me, Lewis, how did you get started, and why did you get started? Was it just by fluke, or?
It kind of, do you know what, actually, it's quite funny. It really was fluke. I mean, if you want to talk about divine intervention, and I am a believer, I actually signed up, like I said, for a Rich Dad event, but I signed up for a property training event because my friends are in property. So I signed up for a property event online, and me not being the best with tech. So if you want to be involved with trading, you do not need to be the best with tech or mathematics. I'm definitely not. So I signed up for this event on property in London, in the UK. Went along to it, got there, and they said my name wasn't on the list. I was very confused. So I'm definitely registered for this event. And they said, leave it with us 1 second. They looked at a different list and my name was on that list. So what I'd actually done was I'd signed up for the wrong event. I signed up for the Forex trading event, not the property event. So I was like, well, I'm here now, so may as well go with it. Sat in the room, I was like, this is exactly what I want, because I wanted to make as passive an income stream as possible. I mean, I don't really entirely believe in the word passive when it comes to income streams, because everything requires some form of input and work. But I do believe in very, very low time commitment income. And to me, 30 minutes a day for the types of reward I get and my students get, that's low time commitment. So I started, like I said, 8 years ago, signed up for an event, signed up for the wrong event. It sounded good to me because I could travel the world. I could make it as low time commitment as I wanted it to be, and would enable me to be financially independent and leave my job, which was in retail at the time. So 7 months after, I left my job in retail and I started traveling the world and trading. And that's where it basically all started and all kicked off from there. Now I do property, I do business, but it all started for me with trading.
Sure. And Lewis, would you say this is for everyone or for a certain type of person / investor?
I think people often think certain individuals will be better at trading than others. So maybe if you're more analytical, you're more into numbers, you'll be a better trader. That's actually not true. It's actually probably the opposite. Do I believe every single personality type can trade? Yes, I definitely do believe that. Do I think it's for everyone? Yes, because I think if anybody can find 30 minutes a day, why not follow tried and tested systems, which will allow you to actually generate more income, more capital that you can use for other forms of investment like property or whatever it is you want to do. So there's 4 main personality types, and I kind of talk about this on the training as well and on the event. So you've got amiables, you've got analyticals, you've got expressives, and you've got drivers. All of them will have their strengths as a trader. All of them will have their weaknesses. What we do is we make sure you know what personality type you are and therefore what your natural weaknesses will be, so we can create systems around those weaknesses to make them not problematic for you as you trade going forward. But that's partly why it's about moving forward. So we need to be really, really aware of how we operate within our trading, because it is quite individual. But that being said, every single personality type can trade.
Absolutely. What are you seeing there, Dave? Any questions coming through from your side? Do you want to ask Lewis any of those questions in the box?
Yeah, I think it's time to see what the audience is asking, see what conversations they have. I have put the link over there for the Start Trading event, and well done on the branding, Lewis. Start Trading. That's if I haven't missed out that once or twice this past week, I don't know how many times I have. But we got a question coming from Malcolm. Good afternoon. Looking into options trading strategy, how would you say Forex differs from options trading, and which is the lowest risk and highest returns?
Brilliant. So options trading is a very American style of trading, which you can get into a whole world of complexity and difficulty when it comes to options. Options often rely on leveraged trading. So that leverage trading means, yes, okay, you can make more money than you've technically got, but always consider the flip side. You can lose money you don't have as well when it comes to leverage trading. So I don't teach leverage trading. That's why I avoid options in general. I prefer to keep things as simple as I possibly can. Simplicity for me is such key focus. Again, if we only want to be trading 30 minutes a day, we don't want to have too much complexity. So I tend to focus the style of trading in Forex, in commodities, even in crypto, around what's called technical analysis, which is mainly pattern recognition. But that pattern recognition, which, as we've already discussed, has been tested for years, at an absolute minimum 3 years, if not 5 years, if not 10 years. So we know that this particular pattern, this particular type of strategy works across all these different types of market, and has done for the past 5-10 years across different market cycles, different market conditions, and everything like that as well. So it's really, really important that you've kind of got that understanding there too.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I don't measure myself as an experienced trader by any means, but at the end of the day, if you're looking for the higher returns, you're going to deal with higher risk, and that's what the relationship always is.
Yeah.
So and it's one of the things we talk about in property as well. There's no such thing as a low risk, low reward. Sorry, low risk, high reward. They're linked. So that's the fundamentals of property trading or Forex. It's all the same. It's in there. Pretty long question coming in from Boitamelo. Essentially, obviously, as property investors, we talk about OPM, the famous wording. So what's the options of bringing other people's capital in when it comes to Forex trading? How do you manage the risk? And also, one of the other questions out there is using bots for trading.
Good question. Another bull to a red rag there for me. So I'll start with the angel investment. So is it possible? Yes. However, be very, very careful. Again, trading is very much about a mindset and an emotional management thing. Although we teach very low risk trading, you still have downside, which isn't asset backed. With property, if you're using OPM, you have something which is asset backed. You don't have that same security factor when it comes to your trading. Although we only tend to risk 1% of our account per trade, which is incredibly low risk, but we can still make fantastic returns like 5%, 10%, 15% per month, even with that low risk. I tend to recommend people don't use OPM. Now, there is the option to go down the route later on, and some of my students have done this, where you have a proven track record and you get a funded account. So that's different to using OPM. That's an institution which will give you money with them knowing the risks and taking on the risks that you may not make money, which again, from a mindset and an emotional perspective on your trading is better, because you're going to affect your trading performance less negatively if you've got your mum, your uncles, your sisters, your brother's money. If you do that to yourself and you can handle that, brilliant, fine, amazing. There is legal implications that you want to make sure they're protected and you're protected. However, the mindset and the emotional management of that is going to be a lot harder because you don't have something which is asset backed. So if you want to go down the funded route, like some of my students have, then that is a conversation we can have down the line. But the first thing you need to do is actually prove you can trade successfully before you take anybody's money. So focus on that. That's really, really important. Now, in terms of robots, my experience with robots, and I always like to test these things because I think in my in my role as someone who teaches people how to do this, I should try these different things. I've never, ever used a robot that has worked consistently long term. And it has what tends to be, even if they do work long term, you also have something called drawdown. Now, drawdown is when, say, your account was 10,000 Rand. Drawdown is how much into the negative it goes at some point. So you may end up with an account down to 5,000 Rand off that 10,000 Rand because the robot doesn't understand what's going on with the market changes in the same way that a human brain can. So yes, they're talking about AI and everything like that, but I've never seen it mastered successfully, and I've been at this for 8 years now. So again, even if you want to go down the robot creation route, or using a robot, be very, very careful with what you buy off the shelf when it comes to a robot, because it tends to work for a period of time and then it tends to stop working. So you don't know when that point is. Again, if you want to end up in that sphere, the best thing you can do first is understand how trading works for yourself and how to make a success of it yourself before you basically outsource some of that process to a robotic machine. So I'm not someone who's going to completely rubbish them. I've just personally, in 8 years of trying these things and looking into these things, seen them work very well, very effectively, without massive drawdown, without a heck of a lot of stress on the people that are using them, or in a consistent fashion long term. Really, what I teach people to do is create consistent income through trading. Yes, we get fluctuations, but we've never ever seen a drawdown like you'll see on a robot. It just doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Right.
And how much do we need to get started? So Edgar's saying, hey, listen, if I am interested and I want to get started, how much could I start with? 10 Rand, 1,000 Rand, 100,000 Rand?
Yeah.
Where would you start?
So personally, I would say no more than about £300. My conversion rates are terrible in my head.
Sort of like 6,000 Rand.
Yeah, about 6,000 Rand. Yeah. So you can start really, really low. If you can start with 10,000 Rand, better. But I would say no more than 10,000 Rand. And the reason I say no more than 10,000 Rand when you first begin is you will make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Part of the learning process is mistakes. The first few properties I bought when I started investing in property were probably mistakes, but you learn as you go along. You do things which you then will not do further, like down the line. So with trading, if you're going to have a pot of money in your trading account, I'd rather you make a mistake which is going to be worth less money when you first begin in your first couple of months, so that you make those mistakes, get them out of the way, and they're cheap mistakes, rather than putting everything you've got into a trading account, making mistakes on a larger sum of money, and those mistakes are therefore far more financially costly than they would be. So let's get your skill set built up, let's get your confidence built up, and then we can increase the amount of money that's in your trading account.
Yeah, I think it's the same conversation as we have, David, in terms of when people come through the academy or SAP and they talk about how to get started. We always talk about understand the market. Don't go become a developer. Don't go build a block of flats. Start with some education. Understand what you're getting into. What are the risks? Let's go do a small bite to let. Let's start building the power team around us. It's the same conversation with you, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's no different.
Completely.
I think that jumps well into the sort of returns expectations. I think a lot of people are asking in the chat, like, what returns can I expect as a student? I put a million Rand in a trading account. How much money does it make me every month?
Yeah.
I think before you answer this, it's the same premise we have with property investment. You're going to start with lower risk strategies and your returns are going to be lower. But as you get experience, your numbers, your performance and track record is going to go up.
Yeah.
But Liz, you might want to maybe put a number to that.
Sure. So what I tend to have my students aim for, and we never really talk about cash because everybody has a different pot size. So it doesn't really make sense to talk about cash. So really what we talk about is percentage growth on a monthly basis. So if you've got 10,000 Rand in your account, if you make 5% that month, your performance is technically the same as someone who's got 1 million Rand in their account, but has also made 5%, because you're actually making the same trading decisions based upon the strategies that you learn and what you're seeing in the market. So technically, from an ROI perspective, a percentage perspective, your performance is the same. Yes, okay, the cash value is going to differ. So what we're having our students aim for is initially 2% per month, but that is so low ball. So if you understand the strategies and how we trade, that is such a low figure. But even if you're making 2% per month, that's over 26% per year compounded for less than 30 minutes a day. Even that is actually phenomenal. Now, what we're really aiming for is 5 to 10% on a monthly basis consistently. And that's what a lot of the students are achieving and are managing to do, is hit that 5% to 10% per month on their trading account. So that's really where we're aiming you. And you should be there within within 6 months, depending on kind of like the level of support and coaching you have as you're working through that process. But that is really where we're aiming to put you.
Awesome. Sorry, I disconnected for a second there. South African load shedding is always fun. So I think, Liz, let's talk about the event. We've got the event coming up on the 5th of March. So it's a half-day workshop with you. It's all online. What are we going to be talking about? What are we going to be covering? And then if the team can just put the link in the chat box along for us.
Yep. So we're going to be covering a lot. So we're going to cover as much as we possibly can in that 3 and a bit hours that we've got together. So we are going to be looking at trading in general and how that translate across Forex primarily and crypto as well. So if you've got an interest in trading the crypto markets, then we're going to be giving you a foundation in crypto as well. So yeah, it's all about trading. So you're going to discover the history and foundations of trading, the history and foundations of crypto, learn about a passive income stream, the most passive income stream I know of in crypto, which is called staking, and how you can stake coins to make a passive income in that way. Some of the risks you need to be aware of there as well. Practical training on how to read and interpret charts. So whenever you've seen these candles and these things moving up and these things moving down, or you see a Yahoo Finance article where everything's just crashed and actually you realize they're only showing you 2 days worth of data rather than actually a year's worth of data, just to try and hype things up, what it actually means, when there's a good opportunity to buy, when it's a good opportunity to sell in the markets as well. I'm going to be giving you systems and strategies that I use every single day that you can take away and you can apply to all types of financial markets, to Forex, commodities, crypto, indexes, stocks and shares, all of it. And all of this is kind of part of the process of growing your confidence and your ability to know how to invest for yourself as well. So yeah, showing you how to master these skills, identify these skills, and what you need to do as a trader who's only going to spend 30 minutes a day in the market, but using very low risk strategies make very high rewards. So that's kind of where we're focusing and what we're going to be doing across that morning together. So it's quite a lot to fit in.
Yeah, it's quite a squeeze.
Sounds awesome. And I believe that Nick did the course as well a few years ago, which is great, and I've heard good things about it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. So yeah, guys, that's the 5th of March. Starts at 9 o'clock South African time. Sorry, Lewis, early morning for you.
That's okay.
And it's yeah, like Lewis said, about 3.5 hours. There's a couple of like really technical questions I don't want to get into because we don't need to go through everything. But one question which is always fun to ask since we're talking about risk and reward, Michael's wondering about your biggest loss. worst trade you've ever made, Lewis?
Worst trade I've ever made. Well, again, because we manage our risk in terms of a single trade loss, the most I've ever lost is 2% of my account. So that's incredibly low risk. And that's because we automate part of the system to make sure if the market is going to go against us, it takes me out. So I'm highly, highly protected with my trading. So the most I've ever lost in one go is 2%. Now, what that be as a cash value? Well, it depends on the size of my account. So it depends on the day. Depends on how much stuff I've got going on with property, because I've had to take it all out to put it into property stuff. And by the way, if you've got your money in an account with a broker who's trusted, and obviously I recommend the good brokers, you can take your money out at any point you want. So you don't have to wait to cash out. You don't have to go through a whole process. It's like a bank account. You just take it out when you need it. So yeah, if you use the right brokers, you have the right systems, then all of this is safe and covered and incredibly low risk. And that's something we'll cover on the morning as well. So for the event. So yeah, we'll be talking about that.
100%. So Lewis, you've obviously got a few different strategies. Now you got StarTrader, you got the Morningstar, you've also got some oil strategies. Do you want to maybe talk about the different strategies that you have that we'll be maybe discussing briefly on the Saturday?
Yeah, sure. So the market basically moves in 3 different directions: up, down, and sideways. So what we do is we make sure we've got strategies that can be applied to each of the different market cycles. Now, we do also have other strategies which can be purchased, but they don't make sense. For example, an oil strategy, it doesn't make sense if you don't have the foundation of all the other training and education as well. So that type of strategy, which we sell separately, only really makes sense to people who've been through the training and have like understand what we do and how we do it. Otherwise, again, you're putting yourself in a risky position because you won't understand the context in which that comes out of. But the different strategies we have basically apply to the market in its different cycles, so that we are way more likely on a consistent basis. Again, this is about consistency. Way more likely to have a consistent opportunity to trade the market.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
So I think, yeah, that's most of the questions answered. Again, we'll get the link in the chat box again. So if you guys are interested and you want to join Lewis, I'll also be there on the day. You can go to joinsappin.com/StarTrading. Lewis, is there anything else you want to say? Maybe little highlights about the event?
It's going to be good fun. I like to keep things fun. It's going to be interactive. It's a great opportunity for you to ask questions. If you're interested in actually doing this, or you're just interested in knowing how this works, then it is the event for you. It's going to keep you safe in the markets. That's my primary thing. It's going to give you a really, really good foundation for what it means to be a trader and how you can actually start going about that process to start generating capital from trading for any other form of investment you want to do as well. So it's a really, really good place to be, to keep you safe and learn how to take low risk into high profit.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. I think there's quite a few of our members out there that are definitely interested, which is good. How do we bring the Forex crypto into our property space and the benefits of doing it, being a property investor and a trader. Sounds very, very interesting to me. So yeah, Lewis, we'll see you in a month's time, eh?
Yes, I'll see you then. Look forward to it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome, Lewis. Thanks for joining, man. I really appreciate
Absolute pleasure.
Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, that's Lewis Crompton, everyone, from London. I mean, Dave, when did we meet him the first time? I'm sure I met Lewis like 5-6 years ago, man.
Yeah, I would have met Lewis, 2016, 2017. Then we started get to know each other around 2018, 2019. It's all a blur. I'm too old for that now.
Time flies, eh?
Yeah, time flies, but it's good. I think it's a nice tool to have in toolbox. And guys, we always speak about this as property investors. The more tools you have in toolbox, the more problems you can solve. So if this is just one of your strategies to generate the capital, to generate, alleviate some cash flow for yourself, whatever the outcome is for it, it's one tool that enables you to achieve your goals financially in property or in other platforms, which is always good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. So I think, Dave, maybe do a wrap up of the events for the week. If you just joined us, I see some people have just joined. This is Andrew and Dave's Coffee Chat at 1 o'clock every single Monday. We're going to bring a guest on, and it's all about property and creating wealth through property. And this time was a bit different, which was fun, bringing the conversation of Forex and crypto into the conversation. So, Dave, what is happening this week?
Cool. Last run through. So, Drew, you're hosting a networking event on Joburg. So that's Wednesday. It's out in the East Rand. I can't remember where the venue is. On the 9th, it starts at 6:30 until about 10. Drew, do you want to talk about the formats, what it is? Because we don't have any big speakers. It's just at a network, guys.
Yeah, it's about networking, getting back to live events, doing business in the room. This is the premier event, which is for the intermediate and our pro members at the SA Property Investors Network. It's going to be held in Joburg. These events are a bit smaller, but they're round table. I invite specific people, obviously our partners and our sponsors and people that can add value to your property journey will be there. And if somebody's got a deal, Dave, and they want to stand up in front of the investors and say, hey, I've got a deal, I'm looking for funding, or there's someone already that's saying he's looking for 6,000 square meters of land. It's going to be zoned institutional. Great, I'll put him at the front of the room and see how the network can support him. So it's a very supportive environment. It's fun. We'll probably do my favorite, which is the Ninja networking, but there's no set format. Arrive at 6, we'll formally start at 6:30, and bring your business cards, bring your smile, and let's do some business on Wednesday night.
Awesome. Moving forward, Drew, you and I are back again on Facebook at 1 o'clock on Thursday. For a conversation with Robin Booth about Airbnb, and then that evening we got the mastermind from 6 o'clock until about 7:30 for our professional members. But that's it for this week. Guys, I think just final reminder, there is the link in the chat box. It's gone up a few times, joinsappin.com/StartTrading to find out more about the course for Lewis, what Lewis is going to be discussing on the day. I'm looking forward to it. I always enjoy balancing different investment perspectives and different portfolio ideas. So the link is in the chat box for you guys. Drew, any final words?
No, I think that's it. It's going to be a really cool week with Robin Booth and our premiere event on Wednesday night. I mean, they're always successful, Dave. But just remember, you do need to book your tickets. The link is in the comments box. And join us again next week, Monday at 1 o'clock. We'll let you know who the guest is going to be. And yeah, Dave, just have a good week, everyone.
That's it. Perfect. Thanks, Drew.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Back same bad time, same bad place on Monday at 1 o'clock here on Facebook, and see you on Thursday as well, guys.